This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing, runway 7, Bravo.
All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it in. So let's waste no time, folks. Woo-wee! Let's get to it. Story number 1. A lot of positive things to report about Mel Creek Park, even with COVID-19 hanging around. Updating bike trails and walking trails to paving old roads, Mel Creek Park served its purpose this summer and continues to be a gateway attraction for local residents. The park has so much to offer to local residents that even golfers and sports enthusiasts have taken advantage of park sports outlets. That's good, the park sports outlets. That's good news. Now, outside theater enthusiasts have also utilized the park's facility. This story proves that Mel Creek Park is the Valley's sleeping attraction. That means if you didn't hear about it, maybe you need to head down there, take a break. We're headed into the fall. Well, we're in the fall season, but summer, everybody took advantage of the summer. So next summer, maybe that may be your ticket to happiness. Now, the park is spending about $170,000 on upgrades, and 80% of the money is coming from federal grants. Big headline. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. The steel business didn't die locally. It just got downsized by huge proportions. If that makes sense, it's still around. There's still businesses around. Now, Black Monday just passed in Youngstown, highlighting the day when the local steel market took a big hit. It means exit, just downsized, but the steel business is still a big part of the local economy. If you did not know, especially if you didn't know that Northeastern Ohio still has a lot of small steel companies and affiliates still in operation to this day. Now, what got this story in is because the city of Warren made headlines after Western Reserve Port Authority announced the acceptance of 200 or more acres of BDM Warren Steel Holdings LLC. This all has a lot to do with business, with the current activity, some of the business activity that's been taking place in Lordstown. This story is still developing and could revive some old steel territory if it stays alive. That's why story number 2 made it in this week. Story number 3. Boardman has plans to battle flooding. After making headlines in regards to flooding concerns, Boardman is making plans to battle flooding. One article made headlines drawing attention to how township officials plan to address future flooding concerns. Flooding has been a big problem for Boardman residents over the past few years, and I'm sure they will be eyeing the developments of this story because it's been funded by $500,000 from the 2020 state capital budget with Al Catrona's signature on it. If that makes sense. If his signature ain't on it, he approved it. 1,400 residents will be impacted as this story manifests. So that means 1,400 people have been affected, and Al Catrona is coming to the rescue with and some other Boardman companies and representatives, and that's why story number 3 made it in this week. Story number 4. Now into the fall, roads remain a concern for local people. Youngstown residents are still complaining about roads. Headed into the winter, it almost seems like road crews cannot work fast enough. if they haven't been working already into the summer. They have actually lost some crew members working on these roads and getting things squared away for the people. One thing is for sure, and that is that if the roads are bad for before the winter, they will be even worse after the winter. Now, contracted road crews have already finished up some major streets in Boardman as residents in the inner city continue to complain. This is why story number 4 made it in this week. Big headline. Story number 5 is the Valley shifting to majority Republican. A Candace Owens event sells out. Donald Trump won Ohio, if you didn't know that. Republican Tracy Wimbush could possibly defeat current Mayor Jamel Tito Brown, leaving the growing truth that the Valley has shifted to majority Republican somehow overnight. Now, with so many pivotal issues taking center stage and with the continued loss of support for Democrats, people are shifting to the right at a steady pace, and there is proof at the ballot box. Current districting maps show a huge shift to Republican. But can the party live up to the hype? That is the big question, story number 5, especially local, with everybody turning to the Republican Party for change. Big headline. So I made it this week. Story number 6, protecting local kids. Now, with child-reported cases of COVID-19 on the rise, protecting local kids seems to be a top concern with the new school year underway. Local parents have been in multiple headlines over concerns about how school boards plan to protect their children. Now, with masks and just mandates period in top headlines, this story is still alive. How will the kids be protected this school year with cases on the rise with children? That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2. You gotta look out for your kids, your children, teenagers, young adults. Story number 7 in the top 2. Local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Something is happening in Youngstown's legal system. Big headline. 3 prosecutors out. Michael McBride, Don Catalamessa gone, and Megan Brundage. Crime is on the rise also, and Paul Gaines has been mentioned in numerous stories in circulation. This is proof that something is happening in Youngstown's legal system. This story is still developing and almost seems like Youngstown, it almost makes it seem like Youngstown's legal system may need a complete makeover with so many crime stories and so many legal problems and so many prosecutors all of a sudden making headlines. And that's why story number 7 made it to the top 2 this week. This is a big headline. The justice system is always in the spotlight, and people who have been prosecuted are always watching. That's why story number 7, a big headline. Story number 8 in the top. Hello? Yep, top story. Number 8. Top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. The Valley is doing everything to attract new businesses. Big headline with a smile. The constant wave of business programs and business literacy programs shows the Valley's effort to attract new businesses and give residents a shot at business goals. Now, from the business incubator to business loans and educational programs, there seems to be a big push to expand the potential of the local business climate. Now, Voyager Specialty Coffee and Teas plans to invest about $250,000 in a former Youngstown auto parts shop for its production line and distribution center, giving the city a little bit of a spark after a dismal business year, especially after the chill can plant that didn't go on as usual, and they're still having some issues with trying to get it some answers. And that's why Stern Rate is big, because the Valley needs jobs, the Valley needs a good business morale, the Valley needs diversity. These are all things that people look like when they come into a community and they want to spread their wings. There's even talk about things that are going on downtown with a lot of stores. I think Ali is just back in town, and that's why I started to braid big headline. What can we do to elevate, motivate, and expand the business of the Valley? That's what Storm Raid made in this week. Well, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines, so don't go anywhere. You're the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method 8 Media Center have that I need? Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the performing arts, visual arts, ink, and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer repair, minor cell phone repair. Oh yeah. List goes on and on. And yes, I am a chipmunk.
To guard the four corners of Escobar, were you not given the duties to rule with an iron fist?
I'm not strong enough anymore.
Who is the leader of the governing board?
Luna, sir. She has been appointed to take the place of her father.
Escobar's governing board is in danger. Our land is producing enough crops to survive.
I can't feed Escobar with dying crops. Magic Lady Nikki, what the hell are you talking about?
She comes at nights and visits me in my sleep.
First, I know your story. You can't hurt her anymore. She's coming to you for a reason.
What do you know about my son?
Does this drawing look familiar to you?
That tomb is glowing again, which means something's about to go down.
They want to hand Escobar over to you.
I don't think it would be wise for Luna to put herself in danger at this pivotal time.
Do you doubt me?
If we unite now, we'll save our planet and our people.
You have to defend Escobar.
If she's worthy, they won't kill her.
This gonna be fun. I ain't used him in a minute.
I'm with Luna.
Defend us, Luna. You have my blessing.
And that'll be our ticket to the North Star.
I'll be a new Escobar.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I hope this show encourages you. I hope this show motivates you to want to know what's going on around you, to keep you informed. I come in here every week just hoping and just believing that I'm doing something good for the greater good of the public. I am just like you. I have bills to pay. I have things to do. But I feel that throughout all of my service, I've been serving since I was 17 years old, the public for the greater good. I've had my ups and downs, but I keep falling and get back up to serve you every week, looking through over 8 top stories, finding them to keep you informed so you will know what's going on throughout the week. Even if you don't have a friend, I hope this TV show is your friend. If you're not informed, you want to get informed, I hope this TV show encourages you to get informed. It takes a lot of work. It may look easy, but I do it for you, just to keep you informed. That's the goal. So, folks, let's waste no time. If you want a joke that's on the house, I came into a room one day, and all I seen was smiles, laughter, joy, love, and a slight hint of peace in a chaotic time. And that's what made me happy, and that's what turned me into the mediator. And the punchline is that through all that, we laughed engaged in activities and shared some stories in this room of joy, laughter, greatness, and mediation. So let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to the stories. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Climate gurus are really convinced that we humans are harming the planet. From pollution to the current news and circulation about the holes in the ozone layer, climate gurus are convinced that climate change is man-made. Now, the big question in this debate is if the Earth just goes through cooling and warming trends. Now, the data provided showing that the world is warming up is the keystone of this story. That means it's the big piece of the puzzle. Now, without the data, there would be no confirmations on if climate change is man-made or not. There would be nothing or not. There would be no evidence or not. But now, with so much activity surrounding this story, at the moment, the data is really the only thing that's keeping this story alive. Now, climate gurus are convinced that humans are destroying the planet. Now, the Farmer's Almanac is also a big piece of this puzzle, but at the moment, the dinosaur extinction could be the only other evidence that the Earth goes through weather patterns that can cause mass extinctions. If you believe that the Earth's weather patterns cause dinosaurs to become extinct. Nobody knows. Well, nobody knows for sure unless we get a time machine. Some people say it was asteroids. Nobody knows. Now, there may not be enough evidence in the case of humans versus the Earth at this time, but some people are convinced that we humans are causing this globe and this Earth to warm up. And that's why story number 1 is big, because science is ruling the day, and what we see, what we watch, what we believe at this particular time. It wasn't like this years ago. That's why story number 1 is such a big story. Are we causing the Earth to change? Are we causing our own possible extinction according to some of these reports? Big headlines. So I made it this week. Story number 2. Under Biden, has the United States and China's China marriage healed. So under Joe Biden, has the United States and China marriage healed? Big headline. Now, Donald Trump's trade war with China seemed to have faded out of the headlines, even though the ripple effect is still being felt, especially in a lot of categories in America. Now, under Joe Biden, we could be seeing globalists taking back control of the wheel while also pushing the America First agenda to the back of the bus. Now, after a couple of China's top business companies made headlines because they're probably still, some of them are still on the verge of collapsing, this story is still in circulation. It's been in and out of the headlines because at the end of the day, people are very concerned about the relationship that China and the United States have in this story, because some people say that China is on its way to being the next global power. So America has a lot of catching up to do, and we have to get back in the game, and that's why story number 2 is so important, and that's why I made it this week. Story number 3. Cases are back on the rise, and most hospitals are packed. That is a fact. Now, there is also one lingering headline reporting on new data that COVID-19 is on the downward swing. So there's a lot happening in the story. Some reports are saying COVID-19 is almost gone, it's fading away, but there's still a lot of conflicting reports saying that COVID-19 is still a problem. Hospitals have been packed. A lot of people in these hospitals, and they're shorthanded. Flu season is also in session right along with school. Now, the new trending story is how doctors are now preparing for a new life with COVID-19, not going anywhere. COVID-19 has dominated the headlines and is still a top story. The facts facing Americans now is that this virus is not going anywhere anytime soon and could be with us for the rest of our lives, and the only defense may be microbiology, our immune systems, sanitation, and hygiene. That's why story number 3, such a big headline. COVID-19 is here to stay, and that is a fact. Story number 4. Those who avoid taxes every year are in the spotlight. Big headline. The rich are rich because they make money, and they know how to make money, and they also account for the movement of how the 99% operate economically. The rich provide jobs, but finding clever loopholes in the tax code is what has the story trending. Now, with a growing number of stories relating to the Biden administration's pressure on the rich, the attention is now also on the 1%. And also the 99% for some. Now, one positive in this story is how it is putting some needed attention on the poor and middle class, which I said the 99%, and creating a lot of questions and answers on how to solve the huge wealth gap in America. Now, that's the 1% versus the 99%. One CNBC report says that the wealthiest Americans may be avoiding $163 billion in income taxes collected every year. So could this Biden administration be on to something, or is it another ploy to suck you into a black hole that you know nothing about? And that's why story number 4 is such a big headline. Well, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't go anywhere. You're in the media with me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
What does Method 8 Media Center have that I need? Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the performing arts, visual arts, ink, and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer repair, minor cell phone repair. Oh yeah, list goes on and on. And yes, I am a chipmunk.
If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Top 8 to be exact. I think I figured it out, folks. In the wintertime, gas prices go down. In the summertime, gas prices go up. When you're young, everything is brand new. When you get old like me, you find a story to keep you alive and keep you on top of your game. That's my story, folks, and I'm sticking to it. Mediation. It's for civilized people. For people who want to join hands, come together, and find a solution. So let's waste no time, folks. It's all good. Let's get to it. Story number 5. We are going in circles. New and old border issues are mounting up. Folks. That's a fact. And the pressure is on the Biden administration to fix it. Recent headlines about Haitian migrants fleeing their country to get into the United States are what's keeping border stories alive. Afghan immigration stories are also making headlines. The big talking point is, how can a country manage to take care of the world when the occupying citizens can barely take care of themselves? This one key talking point is what's keeping this story alive. And that's my story number 5 made it this week. Big headline. Story number 6. Avoiding another government shutdown. Big headline. If the country can't pay the bills, who will? If you can't pay your bills, who will? The last time the government shut down, federal employees were out of a job and national parks were left with trash piling up. Democrats have reached an agreement, but Republicans are very concerned about the bill on the table. In this story, there seems to be little elbow room in the push to even things out when it comes to government spending. The federal deficit has increased under every administration, and inflation is financially killing already cash-strapped Americans. And that's why story number 6 made it this week. Big headline for you to be informed, for you to understand why we have to figure out a way to pay the bills. Big headline. Why it made it this week. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week for you to keep you informed. Pediatricians are sounding the alarm on child COVID-19 rates. COVID-19 became the world's problem and an American nightmare now that the attention is on protecting the children. What about the children? With a high survival rate but a death count sitting at well over 675,000, pediatricians are sounding the alarm on the children infected with COVID-19. The argument is that if children already have to get vaccinated for other diseases and viruses, will it now be mandatory for them to get vaccinated for COVID-19 to attend school? And it may be up to pediatricians on which direction this pendulum swings. That means, should they get vaccinated? Should they get vaccinated? I'm sure you get the picture. Now, with an increase in cases amongst kids, the pendulum could be swinging towards vaccinations. That means that it could be swinging in the direction that we may want to get these children vaccinated, or some parents may just be deciding to take them away from all of the madness. That's why story number 7, big headline: kids are the future, kids are the way. Kids change the past to the present, then they create a better tomorrow. That's why story number 7 is big headline. Story number 8, and the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week: gun problems are really putting a dagger in the unity movement. Another shooting at a Kroger's in Tennessee made headlines. Now this story, because people keep getting is big because people keep getting killed by other people with guns. 9 murders and 56 shootings in Chicago have this story in the headlines. A Virginia high school shooting has left 2 people in the hospital, giving more credence to the fact that America still has a problem with people turning to their guns to solve their problems. This story has to stay alive if America wants to get a hold of the growing crime stories in high crime areas. Gun violence, people killing people, mass shootings. I believe 12 people were injured in this in the Kroger shooting in Tennessee. That's why story number 8 is such a big headline. Guns continue to dominate the headlines. Well, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out doing the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines, the media. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle. If you wanted to show some support here at Method 8, me, all the people involved, all the community members who give their time, the little that we do have, but they come strong and they do what they can. If you want to show us some support, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. There are people in the world that still care. There are people in the world that still give their time for the greater good. So you can have a chance to do just little. It does not take much to support those people. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just for you to keep you informed. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator this week with me, Brian West. Have a good week, everybody. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is